everybody. Good morning. Judea Hartley here. Welcome back into the one and the only AM show. I am super stoked for today's Power Pack show, you guys, because if you were with us at the Genesis, at the top of the show, Nadine and I teased that we have a flat out fantastic guest who is joining us live in the studio, brothers and sisters, all the way out of town. Would you please welcome my new friend, Dr. Macie Smith?
So wonderful to be here. All the energy, give it all to me. Give it all to me.
Yes, I give you the great energy. I am just over the moon, Dr. Smith. I have to be honest. When we got in contact with each other, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a blessing. Here is another beautiful, black, strong woman just doing the things that we all should aspire to. You definitely are a representative and a staple for not only our community, but society at large. And for those of you who have not had the pleasure of knowing what Dr. Macie Smith does, she certainly is an educator for over 20 years. She's a best-selling author, media personality, and most importantly, let's peel this onion here. Most importantly, Dr. Macie Smith is an Alzheimer's and a dementia specialist. So she is here to dish about everything that involves that diagnosis, how caretakers really should take care of themselves. Caretakers need to take care of themselves, and of course, the person who they are caring for, and all of the things. I have her book right here, which is entitled A Dementia Caregiver Called to Action. Of course, Dr. Macie P. Smith, and this is a short guide, you guys. I call this is like a hub. You come and you read this book if you are in contact, in relationship with a family member who is experiencing Alzheimer's and dementia. So with all of that being said, Dr. Macie, you attended an HBCU.
Of course,
Okay,
born and bred.
Yes.
My blood is garnet and blue for South Carolina State University Bulldogs, baby.
Woo!
South Carolina. Love my HBCUs. I'm an HBCU advocate because I believe in uplifting, motivating, and inspiring our black and brown students.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that so much. And I was scrubbing your social media and I was just getting more inspired and more inspired and more inspired. And I saw that you actually pursued your education. You had a concentration in social work. What enabled you to choose that as your major? Did you always know what you wanted to do?
I did. So I'm a talker. I love to talk, but at the same time, I also love to help people. And when I was in high school, so I'm from the country, and so you know what we do from the country is we take other people's children and we make them our own children.
Yes.
And so my mom actually adopted my second cousin. And I remember when the social worker came to our house, I mean, even though she had on the little social worker shoes, she was poised. She had her documentation. She had a really nice portfolio, and she was helping us get our little cousin to have a little sister. And so it just touched me in a way that never escaped me. So I knew that I wanted to be a social worker. I had no idea that the people say that social workers don't make money. You know, but you just got to be able to, you know, be flexible and kind of, you know, work that thing out. And you really can. And so that's how I became a social worker. Now, if you want to ask me how I became a gerontologist. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh my God, you are hilarious. Okay, wait, Dr. Macie, take us through that transition. When did you realize, okay, y'all, I love you, but I can't help you anymore. I want to help in this way. Right? Take us through that. I know it was a transition. Take us through that.
It was, and actually, I didn't choose gerontology. Gerontology chose me because my population, my first job, my first social work job in the field, it was with adults and older adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so when I got burnt out, I tried to find another job. I even tried to get a job at McDonald's, but they didn't even hire me. So when McDonald's didn't hire me, I heard God say, this is what I want you to do. And you know, when he puts it in your spirit, you just lay it down. And I've been following ever since. And so because I knew that the senior population was my people, and I did well with them. I always rooted for the underdog. And in America, we have a really bad habit of associating aging with unworthiness.
Oh.
And we're not going to do that on my watch.
Oh, I love
right?
that.
And so, because my grandmama had a hand in raising me, and that's where you get your wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, that's where, some of them are cautionary tales. And so, why would you disown and disregard something so powerful? And so, when I found out that gerontology was like a thing, and you could get certified in it, so I was like, okay, God, that's what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And it has been on and on and on since then. As Cardi B says, I think it's up from there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was up from there. And as a social worker, we're outcomes oriented, solutions focused. And so when I saw that just mere information and education, Judea, can change the trajectory of not only the person who's living with the ailment's life, but also the person that they're caring for, who we always often call the invisible patient.
Ooh.
Because the caregiver is taking the loved one in, but the doctor's focusing on that patient.
Yeah.
Who's focusing on that caregiver. I uplift them. I provide them guidance, training. I see them. I value them. And I definitely do uplift them and inspire them. They inspire me.
Yeah.
More so than anything.
Oh, okay. I love that. I feel like you just took me to church and I'm here for it.
I didn't mean to, because I don't know no scriptures, but I do the best I can.
I am here for it. So I love that your work centers around simultaneously, right? They almost like work in tandem. You are caring for the caretaker, as well as you shedding light on this diagnosis, just really perpetuating this narrative that, hey, seasoned does not mean that they don't count. It doesn't mean that the older demographic is invisible. It doesn't mean that they have less value just because they've aged a little bit.
That's
so
right.
For all of those, I want you to take us back to that Genesis portion right now. For everyone who doesn't know what gerontology is, please define that and everything it encapsulates.
So, when you think of gerontology, when you hear the term gerontology data, what do you think of?
Genital.
I do.
I do.
So, okay, well, I'm going to take you a step further. So, in the South, right? When we would hear geritol, we would think of the tonic that the older population would drink when they're like ailing or sick or what have you. I guess it does treat the genitalia as well. But gerontology is the study of older adults, their challenges, their struggles, and how to support them and their family caregivers. So it's a social model. Now, geriatricians or geriatrics, that's the medical model. And so I do work collaboratively with the medical structure, because once you've treated the medical piece of it, which Alzheimer's disease is the only disease in the top 10 that you cannot treat, cure, or prevent 100%. And so I'm there when they come outside of the doctor's office, outside of the walls of the medical practitioner's office. That's me and my geriatric care management group, to help them navigate the day-to-day, to help them navigate the long-term care system, which is unnecessarily confusing. And so I'm the piece that helps, I like to say, and this is what they say to me, to make it all better, because I make it understandable, I make it tangible, I make it palatable. And so what that does is it gives families and seniors hope. When you lose hope, you lose life. And so if I can just give a word or give information or give a tool or tip or strategy, and it gives someone hope that's dealing with a condition that could be detrimental, then that's what I want to do. And I've been blessed to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, you gave me hope. You gave me hope just now. And I love that you have this interpersonal approach with it, Dr. Macie. Like, you almost have to be honest. You almost make the caretaker and the actual patient, anybody in the room, feel like, hey, you're not alone.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm with you. And I know that we have a large bridge to cross, but I am going to utilize my knowledge in order to help you cross that thing. I'm here.
We're doing it together.
We're doing it together, and that's what I love. So because you have such a close relationship with your work, I'm curious, have you ever experienced any of your family members?
I have. My grandma did develop a progressive type of dementia in her late 80s. But at that point, I was well positioned to provide support for my families. I had already been in the industry for about 10 years at that time. However, it looks totally different when it lands on your doorstep, at your feet. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do, and I had already been in the industry. I was a gerontologist, for God's sake, but I didn't know because that was my grandma. And then I saw my dad, who was her primary caregiver, the powerful man in our family, not knowing what to do, just really grieving his mom while she's still here. And so I had to take off my granddaughter hat and put on my social worker hat and get to work and help my family navigate the system. And so it was still confusing for me, and I'm in the industry, and so I wanted to be able to provide a resource, a tangible resource for family members and caregivers who may find themselves in the same position I was in, with almost 7 million Americans in the same situation. They don't have to scour the internet because I take them through it. I tell them where to go, what to say, who to talk to, and how to build that team, because it is a family living with Alzheimer's, not just a person.
I love that. Oh my goodness, I love that. I know both of my grandmothers, they have transitioned. So my grandfathers have as well. And my grandmothers, they didn't have dementia or Alzheimer's, rather they had kidney failure.
Oh, wow.
So both grandmothers, both were on a dialysis. And I bring that up to really correspond with your recent point. It's really the entire family that's going through that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I'll say too, when you talked about your grandmother and kidney failure, so what we know now that we did not know then is that approximately 1/3 of the progressive dementias that we see, like Alzheimer's disease, could possibly be prevented with lifestyle changes. What we choose to eat, how we choose to live our life, who we choose to live our life with, and managing those comorbid conditions. Diabetes increases your risk, high blood pressure increases your risk, obesity increases your risk. So if any part of your brain, any part of your body is damaged, it's going to affect the brain, because your brain tells your body what to do and your body responds back to your brain. And so if there's any part of your body that's not functioning at 100%, it's gonna affect your cognitive ability. So there is a correlation.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. No, that was so good. And speaking of really just drawing parallel lines, correlations, just for folks who may not know, what are some of the early signs that your loved one may have dementia?
And so the hallmark is memory loss and forgetfulness, but everybody forgets. If you forget where you put your glasses and they are on your face, that's okay. If you forget where you put your keys and they're in your hand, that's also okay, because immediately you're going to say, oh my gosh, my glasses are on my face, I have my keys right here. You're going to rationalize and make judgment. Where it becomes a concern is when the person begins to forget more often, and that forgetfulness begins to impair their life, begins to impair their day-to-day and the things that they're able to do. So their actions. So if they make a cup of coffee every morning, and slowly they're forgetting the steps to make that cup of coffee, and then eventually they can't make it at all and may have to ask you, today, baby, tell me how you cut this on. You know, laughing it off, because they hide what they can't remember. They know what they're forgetting before anybody else does. It's called subjective memory impairment. So they may laugh it off, and then you may say, oh, mama, you so silly. You just put this and put that, and it totally, you don't even pay it any attention until it gets progressively worse. And then you think retrospectively and say, oh, that's what it is. So when you see a change in them remembering things that they've always remembered, like my mother-in-law, she remembers everybody's birthday, even people who are not related to us. Right? So if she starts to forget birthdays, then I know something is wrong. So it's an individual condition. When you've met one person living with dementia, you've met that one person. And so you have to know them to know what changes draw caution, right? So you can't say because this person did it, then I'm gonna look for this person to do it. This person might not ever do it. This person may not ever forget who you are as the granddaughter, but this person did, right? But they don't remember how to put on their shirt the right way. And so it's, again, when you understand how memory impacts your entire life, that's how we function. Our memory is engaged through our senses. So if a person has issues with hearing or vision or olfactory, it could affect their brain, because that's how we take in information initially through our senses, our sensory registers. And so everything plays a part in your brain power, your brain awareness, and your brain health.
Ooh, that was so good. Oh my, you know what, Dr. Macie, I think that this is fascinating actually, because many people, we don't read and we don't study up on topics if it doesn't relate to us right now.
And that's adult learning principles.
Come on.
We focus on things that matter to us. And so as adult learners in pedagogy, adults learn based on what's happening in the present. So if what you're telling me does not apply to me now, I don't even hear you.
I know, it's so true. Oh my goodness, just so, we really, really need to study, even if we're not in that situation. Absolutely. And I love in the book, you guys, I know we have to take a quick commercial break just here in a sec, but Dr. Macie is going to dish on common questions that she has answered for you, what a day-to-day looks like in her life, workshops that are available to you all, her being a media personality, and I mean, so much more. We're gonna get into some statistical data, what age, right? Dementia starts coming on, the onset of it, and so much more. I don't know about y'all, but I am floored. And y'all, this magic is going to keep on rolling. We're going to head on over to a quick commercial break, but I need your face in the place because Dr. Macie certainly is going to continue that magic when we return. Keep it locked, everybody. It's the one and only AM show. What's up, family? Judea Hartley on the track. Welcome back to the one and only AM show. All right, my brothers and sisters, if you're just now tuning in, it's a little bittersweet. And the bitter part is that you definitely did miss the first part of my interview with Dr. Macie Smith. But the sweet part is y'all got, you guys, we have you covered. We got you covered with interview part 2. So please welcome back to the show my new friend, Dr. Macie P. Smith.
Thank you. You're so amazing. So electric. I love it.
Listen, I feel like joy is contagious. I really believe
it is.
I believe that.
It is. I'm getting all of it.
Oh, and I'm getting all of the knowledge. You see that transaction? And I'm getting all. Yes, it certainly is. Now, you guys, if you're just now tuning in, just for your knowledge, a little BTS, Dr. Macie Smith certainly is a specialist, you guys, in regards to Alzheimer's and dementia. She's certainly an educator for over 20 years, media personality, best-selling author. And you guys, she wrote this book entitled A Dementia Caregiver Call to Action, which just really serves as a portal, right? A portal for the patient and as well as the caregiver, just really just almost like directing and guiding those who are in relationship with family members who are experiencing dementia. So, Dr. Macie, I had the pleasure of skimming through your book, which I can't wait to read along with my family, and you talk about long-term care management in regards to providing quality of care visits and report significant concerns to the family, etc. Would you please elaborate in regards to what long-term care management looks like?
So long-term care, a lot of people don't even know what that is. So long-term care is non-medical care that an older person or someone with a disability requires, which means if they need assistance with their ADLs, activities of daily living, dressing, bathing, dining, that's non-medical, but somebody would either come into the home to provide assistance with that, or if the family cannot, number one, afford someone to come into the home, or they really just don't have time to manage the care, because, you know, we got to be real about it. Our families look a little bit different than what they looked in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Families are a lot smaller, and so people are not caring for their loved ones in the home like they used to.
No.
And so it may require out-of-home placement. So long-term care is the care that someone needs that's non-medical to provide for their day-to-day, their overall well-being. And so when I talk about long-term care management, as a geriatric care manager, I actually go in and assess the person, their family, their natural supports, and if the natural supports are not at a point where they can provide care, then I go outside of the home to look for out-of-home placement. And so all of that is long-term care management. The family doesn't have to do it alone. They don't have to go it alone. This may be their first rodeo but I've been doing this for over 24 years, and so I take that stress off them. I bring them a platter of appetizers, right? And so they choose what appetizers they want. And when they choose a service, I monitor it to make sure it is being applied appropriately. If it's not, then we make changes, we make revisions. So I'm their private social worker.
Got it.
But family members can do it themselves too. If their loved one is placed in a facility, I oftentimes tell them to show up often, and show up unannounced.
Oh, yeah. To let the people know that
let the people
they
know.
have family,
exactly,
and we care, and we're paying attention.
They ain't no throwaway person.
They
got people who love them, and so all people in long-term care communities, which is assisted living and nursing homes, they're not bad people. They're there because they want to help. Now, are there bad apples in the bunch? Yeah. There are, but that's why you show up often, to try and prevent and curtail, some of that could potentially happen. And I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but you want to show up so that way they know that there's gonna be some accountability. And you want transparency.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Wait. So I love that. I got totally lost in what you were just saying. So, Dr. Macie, would you say that you sort of serve as the liaison between? Come on now.
That's what it is.
That's what I'm thinking, because you need that. You need that middle person to really disseminate the information, to almost serve as a therapist, to really. Seriously.
You're right.
So it's okay.
I use all my social work skills.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm like. Wait a minute. This gerontology and the social work scales, they work in tandem. They correlate.
Absolutely.
One doesn't eradicate the other. So you are the liaison between the primary care physician, the caretaker, and the actual patient. I love that.
And all that in between.
And all of that in between. I love that. So with that being said, really define and dive into what community care management looks like.
So with the community care management piece, it is, I would say it is interdependent with the long-term care management, but with the community care, we're focusing only on what happens in the community. We're not even dealing with the medical model at all. With the long-term care, we're dealing with the medical model, as you stated, out in the liaison between the doctors, the therapists. They may be taking physical therapy or speech therapy. But when it comes to community care, I'm focusing on non-medical. If it's in the home, I'm focusing on bringing in a home care company. I do a lot of work with Synergy Home Care, writing their family care guides. That stuff is downloadable for free on synergyhomecare.com. I always like to give families resources that are at their fingertips. And so I monitor those in-home caregivers who come in. Also too, I got one better for you, adult day centers. I don't like to say daycare because people put it all together and it's not a daycare because they're not children, they're adults. But it really is an adult day care center.
Okay.
A lot of people don't utilize that service, Judea. It is a service that serves as respite. So a family member will be able to take a break during the day while they're at the day center. Typically, day centers provide transportation. I work with PACE programs. So federal PACE programs, that's the program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, where individuals who receive Medicare and Medicaid, we call that dually eligible, can get picked up, taken to the day center, given engagement, activity, food, and they can see their doctors while they're there. So the family member doesn't have to lift a finger. And then the transportation will take them back home and provide a caregiver to get them ready to go to the center and to bring them home from the center. But people just don't know. But Judea, thanks to you and your platform and your compassionate, caring heart, people will know about these services that typically go underutilized. And it breaks my heart because people are struggling. We got caregivers in the sandwich generation trying to care for their own children, their spouses, their older adult loved one or adult children with a disability, and they working. Right?
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
And so they need to know where these resources are.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know whether to hug you, cry. Like, I just,
we can do all that.
I mean, we can do all of the things really, because I think when you are faced with a challenge, like any kind of challenge, that could be Alzheimer's, dementia, that could be the loss of a spouse, loss of a daughter, divorce, anything. Dr. Macie, I know this for sure. I have a front row to this movie, unfortunately. The first emotion that you feel is loneliness.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. You feel alone. You feel like, oh my goodness, there's no community for me to tap into. There's no specialist out there that can convey the resources that benefit me. So now I'm learning by trial and error. Now I don't know what to do. I feel alone. I'm frustrated. I'm thrusted into this new reality, and it can be all overwhelming. So oh my goodness, I don't know why I'm getting emotional.
You're getting chills. I'm getting chills. But in the book, I talk about those emotions. You're spot on.
Yes.
The emotions of grieving, and the person is still there. Anger, resentment. And so those are natural emotions for caregivers to feel. There is something called the caregiver syndrome. When those emotions are not put in check, you cannot address what you don't acknowledge. So we want to be superwoman, and we don't tell people where we're hurting. We don't tell people where we need help, but it's ultimately going to hurt the person internally. And what that could do is cause that caregiver to inadvertently cause harm to the person who they love. So we got to get those emotions in check.
Ooh, sorry. This is doing something to me. I've experienced a lot of grief, so this is doing something to me. Really, it's heavy. It's doing something to me over here. I love when I have moments during the interviews like this. I like that. It humanizes it for me. So, Dr. Macie, I want you to tell us 3 or 4, maybe even 5 steps. Let's just say, heaven forbid, hypothetically, a family member, an aunt of mine, gets diagnosed with dementia, and I'm the caretaker, Dr. Macie. What is the very first thing that I should do?
The very first thing I think that you should do is find out what type of dementia it is. So there are over 100 causes of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type. Then there's vascular dementia that comes about as a result of having several mini strokes, causing vascular lesions to the brain. Then there's dementia with Lewy bodies. Then there's frontotemporal dementia. We've been seeing that a lot in the news lately with Bruce Willis, with Wendy Williams. So because sometimes it may not be a progressive type of dementia, because we have what we call pseudo dementia or faux dementia or treatable dementia, whereas that dementia is caused by medication side effects, medication interactions. You know, our senior population, they have several different doctors prescribing several different medications for the same thing. Because the doctors aren't talking to each other. So it could be medication-induced dementia. It could be substance abuse-induced dementia, alcohol, marijuana. I mean, I know sometimes it helps, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
I didn't know that.
I mean, it just depends. It depends on you and what your body can take and what your body needs. Lack of sleep. Adults should get anywhere from 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. If you don't, then that's going to affect your cognitive ability. Depression looks just like dementia on someone who's over the age of 65. And so what happens is, especially in the Black community, Black people are 2 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's and progressive types of dementia, but least likely to be diagnosed in the early stages when the medications are most effective, because we chalk it up to, oh, that's just old age, or, oh, it's gonna pass, or what have you. And so depression can be treated. So that's the very first thing I'll ask. That was a long way to answer the question.
No, that's
what type
great.
of dementia it is. Once you figure out what type of dementia it is, and they've done the full workup, seen a neurologist, done at least 2 cognitive assessments, and it actually is Alzheimer's or dementia, get connected to the Alzheimer's Association. Get connected to support groups in your area through the Alzheimer's Association. If it's a different type of dementia, the Alzheimer's Association handles that as well. Then I need you to get connected to your Department on Aging. Every county has an area agency on aging. We call them AAAs. They have vouchers or respite, so they give you money to pay for someone to come into the home to take care of your loved one while you take a break. You may want to go on vacation. You may want to get your nails done. You may want to have me time, which you have to. The AAAs. There's also Meals on Wheels. Just think about if the caregiver is working, the person who brings the Meals on Wheels, they also provide a sense of engagement and company for the person. And so that's gonna help the person get connected to resources and stay connected to resources. Then I need you to get your team together. And when I say team, I mean the family members. A lot of times family members are afraid. They don't wanna be the caregiver because they don't know what it entails. And so when I do family consultations, and I do it across the country, thanks to the power of Zoom and technology, it's important to identify the roles that each family member would play.
Yeah.
Your logical family and your biological family, right? Because you know you got some play cousins, play aunties that come in and tear it down.
Yes.
You know, and so I help identify the strengths and the weaknesses in each one of the players, and you identify, well, you're good with money, but you don't have the patience.
Right.
So you can't come over here every day trying to help mama eat or cook or remember things, because you're gonna get on her nerves, but you can manage her finances.
Yeah.
You can manage the prescription medications, right? So that's vitally important. Once you do that, and you have that team, you have your resources, you have your community, if you have trouble doing that, then you would want to reach out to a third party like me, a geriatric care manager. You know, sissy don't have to tell brother what to do. I'm gonna tell him what to do.
Yes.
And that keeps down the strife in the family.
Oh my, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Why aren't you a millionaire yet? You will be.
Oh
you
my God.
But
you know what? What's such a blessing for me?
My God.
Where money cannot pay, when you see, look at you.
Yeah, I know, because you about to give me something.
You know what I'm saying? When you see somebody can have a moment of lucidity.
Yeah.
They don't recognize you at all.
Yeah.
But one day, they say, Jadea.
Yeah.
How long you been here, baby?
Yeah.
That moment will just change the life of that caregiver who was grieving the whole time that mama is gone. But I tell people all the time that doesn't change.
Yeah.
While this brain is changing, the heart and soul never changes. They still feel. So you always want to speak to the heart and the soul of the person, because they can still feel just like everybody else.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me tell you something, Dr. Macie. You certainly spoke to our hearts and souls today. Seriously, I mean, you guys have to get your hands. I'm trying to get through the rest of this interview without crying. Dr. Macie took me there. You got to get your hands on this piece of gold, you guys. A dementia caregiver called to action. It's the journey of a dementia caregiver called to action. Dr. Macie, I personally can't thank you enough. You are needed in our community. I love that you are a woman. I love that you are an African-American woman who is educated, who is bringing awareness and help and light and accuracy and hope to such an important topic that folks are really ignorant in regards to. Ignorance simply means you're unaware. You're you are just simply unaware, and that's why, you're right, that statistical analysis is correct. That's why Black people that's why we are 2 times likely to get it more so than others. So please, you have to leave us with this. Please tell all of our viewers where they can find you on social media so they can see what your day-to-day is like, your day-to-day routine is like, and any passion projects you have coming up, workshops, just anywhere where they can follow you.
Okay, so I am online at Dr. Macie Smith, www.drmaciesmith.com, and that's Macie, M-A-C-I-E, Smith. I am on social media at Dr. Macie P on Instagram and Dr. Macie P. Smith on Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel. So that's where I post my videos. I post my trainings there. I give it to you straight, no chaser. We ain't got time to talk about what happened 50 years ago. We got to talk about what's happening now and what's happening today. But stay connected to my website, because I may be in a city near you soon.
I love it. Why don't you show your love once again for Dr. Macie P. Smith, everybody?
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to jump on over to a quick commercial break. Oh, that was magic in live, in the flesh, in HD. We're going to hop on over to a quick commercial break, but don't y'all go anywhere, because we have so much more of the AM show when we return. That's Dr. Macie P. Smith, baby. That's Dr. Smith, baby. Yes. Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh.